Hi, this is Herb Reisenfeld from Provident Travel. Gee, I can't believe this is my 47th year in 2021 to escort trips throughout the world. We've got a great lineup for you starting with April of next year. I'd like to share with you, and I hope that you can join us on one of these trips or even more. Starting in April, we're going to do our Israel Holy Land tour. This is the second time I have done this trip. And believe me, if you've read the Bible, whether it be the Old Testament or the New Testament, or even the Quran, this is a trip you must take. We're going to visit all the religious sites. This is where all the major religions were born, right here in Jerusalem, the heart of Israel. We're going to go to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Tiberias. We're going to have a cruise on the Sea of Galilee. We're going to Bethlehem, Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Memorial Museum. Also, we're going to do Masada, where the Zealots held out against the Romans for a long time. Down to the Dead Sea, where you'll have the opportunity to actually float because you can't sink to the lowest spot on earth. Please join us for this because I'm telling you, it is a wonderful, wonderful example of a land that has blossomed so much that you can't believe all the things that you will participate in. At the end of May, we have a wonderful cruise tour planned for you. Along with Marty and Amanda Brenneman as our host, we're going to visit Italy, Turkey, and the Greek islands, all in one trip. Starting with a overnight in Rome, we'll first get off the plane and join for a wonderful lunch in Rome, followed by a panoramic city tour and an inside visit to the Colosseum. Then on to our hotel for an overnight. The next day, we'll have breakfast, get up, and we'll do a city tour, including a visit to the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Cathedral. From there, we'll continue on to Civitavecchia to board our beautiful ship, the Celebrity Cruise Line Edge. This is a phenomenal vessel, just starting in 2019 on its maiden voyage. It has all the bells and whistles. And included, you have a choice of getting prepaid gratuities, a beverage package, or Wi-Fi as part of the package. We will visit ports in Italy, Turkey, and Greece, as I indicated. In Italy, we'll stop in Messina. And then in Turkey, two of my favorite spots. First, Istanbul, where you'll see the beautiful Blue Mosque, the Hagia Sophia, and of course, the Grand Bazaar. You might even want to purchase a carpet or a leather jacket. Then on to Ephesus, the most incredible spot that I've ever visited because for centuries, there was 500,000 people living there, and then it became silted over, and it died as a civilization. The Austrian government in 1900 started excavating, and over the 100 years, you cannot believe what they've uncovered. Mosaic sidewalks, a Colosseum, the library, so on and so forth. Every time I go, I see more. Then, of course, to the Greek islands, like Santorini, which is magnificent. As you approach Santorini, you'll think there's snow on top of the hill until you realize those are all white painted buildings. And Mykonos, a place that you just walk around and visit. And Athens, of course, with the Parthenon and the Acropolis and the Platka and all these things. And not only are we going to do private tours to these places, but we've included lunch. And then we continue down Naples and visit Pompeii and Sorrento for ending our tour back into Rome and our flight home. In June, we're going to do one of my favorites. It's the Romantic Danube Cruise. I love river cruising, and especially Ama Waterways and their new ship, the Ama Magna, which is the largest ship on the river in Europe. It's like a double wide, and it has all the amenities, more restaurants, private restaurants where we have a special dinner for our group, and of course, included shore excursions. But first, we stay in Budapest for 2 nights, enjoying all the sights in that wonderful city. Budapest, as you know, was part of the Hungarian Austrian Empire. And it is a typical city having all the palaces. And on both sides of the river, one is Buda and the other is Pest. They're quite different. Then we get on board our ship, sailing on the Danube River, visiting various ports such as Vienna with its opera and a historic ring road. Also onto Melk with its abbey. It has the most beautiful library with all these leather-bound books and a cathedral, all in splendid pink marble. Also, Bratislava, which is now the capital of Slovakia. Since when I went there, it was originally communist. Now you can't believe the changes. Modernized, lots of cafes and restaurants. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful sight. Ending our cruise, we go to Prague. And in Prague, we're going to spend 3 nights at a lovely hotel. And this is a special, special trip where there's so much to see and enjoy. And on the ship, for both lunch and dinner, beverages including wine and beer and soft drinks are included. And all the shore excursions are included where you'll get whisper sets, so you don't have to get up close to your guide, but you can hear on a radio system and not miss a single word. Please join us on the romantic Danube River Cruise. Another river cruise that Amma is doing for us is the enticing Douro River. Now, the Douro River is in Portugal, and our entire trip is in Portugal. But first, we start out in Lisbon, the beautiful city of Lisbon, for a 3-night stay at a very fine hotel. Included are all the tours in and around the city. After leaving Lisbon, we board a high-speed train where we go north to Porto. Now, Porto is located right at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. It is a fabulous city, the second largest city in Portugal. There we board our ship, the Amaduro. And again, all your shore excursions, wine and beer and soft drinks are included for both lunch and dinner. And there's a happy hour every day at 5 o'clock where you can order any drink you wish. Included are the shore excursions, again with the whisper units. And we continue to all the various little Portuguese towns along the way, visiting vineyards, monasteries, and so forth. We even make a stop in Spain at Salamanca. In Salamanca, you'll see the beautiful golden sandstone buildings. They're the oldest university. And when we stop at the university, they're going to ask you to look for the frog up in the structure of the building. It takes some doing, but I'm sure you'll find it. The Court Mayer is huge there with all of its buildings, and they have decorations showing all the famous people of Portugal along the route in that square. So please join us on the Douro. The ship is limited to about 140 people, and it's a special, special ship where you have limited space available, so hurry and don't miss the boat. I'm pleased to present next year 4 Talc tours. Talc is one of my favorite companies because for 95 years they've been doing this, and their trips are fantastic. They have their own motor coaches, their own seasoned guides that come along with us right from the beginning. On the buses, there are assigned seats which revolve each day, so you get different views from the front to the rear, etc. And it's very safe and limited in how many they put on the coach. Well, this particular trip, America's Canyonlands, is one of my favorite. We start by flying out to Phoenix and then go to Scottsdale, Arizona for the Four Seasons Hotel at True North. We have a wonderful reception and dinner that evening where we meet all of our fellow companions. And then the next day we board our motor coach and head for the Grand Canyon. What can I say about the Grand Canyon? It is God's gift to the world, believe me. When you look at that, you can say there has to be a supreme being who created this. We arrive in the afternoon, and you're going to see the colors of the canyon at that point. We stay right on the rim of the canyon in one of the wonderful hotel rooms, have dinner at the Ahwahnee Hotel in the Arizona room with large windows looking out on the canyon itself. The next morning breakfast is also included, and now there's a different light on the canyon as you see it in its morning light. Then in the afternoon, we see a different spot on the canyon, again, looking at the Colorado River, which formed the canyon over eons of ages, of years and years. So therefore, after visiting the canyon, we continue on to our next stop, which is Bryce Canyon. Now, Bryce Canyon, we stay in the park. A lot of tours do not include accommodations in the park, but Talc does. Bryce Canyon is magnificent. You'll see the famous hoodoos. Those are stone structures that have been created over centuries. And it's a remarkable sight to see. Our rooms are right on the edge. Then we continued on to Zion National Park, again, staying within the park and seeing the stone palisades as they peak right up to the top. Then our final stop will be Las Vegas for one night, staying at the Four Seasons Hotel there. Try your luck. You know, who knows? You may pay for the trip in one visit. Then fly home from there. This is a wonderful trip again from Arizona to Las Vegas, seeing all nature's wonders and America's wonderful canyon lands along the way. And I did fail to mention, we're going to also stop at Lake Powell. Lake Powell was formed by the Glen Canyon Dam, and on that we will have a dinner cruise that evening. You will see all of the wonderful boats that are parked there, and these boats are where people actually stay on board, and you'll actually do a rafting trip on the Colorado River underneath the Glen Canyon Dam for about 10 miles. Very gentle, very safe rafting cruise. So don't miss the canyons. I'm now presenting my favorite trip of all. Now, people ask me all the time, what's your favorite spot in the world, Herb? Where do you like to go? I can have to tell you, it's spectacular Switzerland. My first trip to Switzerland was actually in 1968. I was working for a different company, and I went over there for a 4-day trip, fell in love with the place, and I've been there over 50 times. Now, my spectacular Switzerland trip, we do almost annually every year. Skipped a few, but we're going to do it again in August of 2021. We fly into Zurich, and when we arrive, we go down to the Rhine Falls, a spectacular sight because the Rhine River is formed there from waters coming out of the Alps and flowing northward all the way up to Holland. Then we stop for lunch and finally arrive at our destination, Bern. Bern is the capital of Switzerland. Now, when you go to our hotel in Bern, the Bellevue Palace, there are not enough words to describe this 5-star hotel, which I say is a 6. It's right next to the Parliament building, and this is where all the dignitaries stay. A couple of years ago, we were all standing in the lobby, and in walks the King of Belgium. Nobody said move. Then the President of Switzerland, a woman, comes in. She's adorned with a cape and a special hat, and we're standing there. And when you look around and see all the pictures of the dignitaries that stay there and have stayed there, it's amazing. That evening, we have a wonderful, wonderful get-acquainted dinner, a welcome dinner, I call it, in a private room from soup to nuts, believe me. And the next morning, you're going to enjoy breakfast either out on the terrace or in the dining room. Then we leave that morning with my favorite tour guide in the world, Rolf Stauber, he's Swiss, and he is my friend and been with me for over 30 years. We're going to get in his motor coach and journey to the Bernese Oberland. Now, the Bernese Oberland is right in the heart of the Swiss Alps. When we get to Lauterbrunnen, we're going to board a cogwheel train that takes us up to a place called the Kleine Scheidegg. And the Kleine Scheidegg is where we're going to have lunch. But now we're at the foot of the Eiger, the Munch, and the Jungfrau Mountains. What a sight. You're going to see hiking trails. You'll see people hiking. You'll see snow-capped mountains. This is indeed a place to have your cameras ready. Then on the way back down, we'll stop at Interlaken, a famous resort town, where we'll give you some time for either sightseeing or shopping at the many stores. Then back to the hotel. In addition, on this trip, we're going to stay up at Gruyere, the famous cheese village, where you could have raclette, a specialty dish. And we're going to visit the Gruyere chocolate factory, which is one of Nestle's companies. You'll have a tour of how they make chocolate, and you have a sample room where you can eat all you can eat, as long as you don't take it out. I have people that got a headache before they left the room. Then we come back to Stadt, the famous celebrity town of Stadt, just for a short visit before returning to our hotel. Then we leave for Zurich. In Zurich, we're going to stay at the Marriott Hotel in downtown Zurich. But en route, we're going to stop at a cheese factory where you'll have samples and you see how cheese is made. And we're going to stop at another little town called Stein am Rhein. It's right on the Rhine River. We're going to have an included lunch there, and it's a picturesque little village with typical paintings on the sides of the homes. From there, we go to our hotel, and the next day we're going to go down to Lugano, the Italian-speaking section of Switzerland, and as an additional stop. We're going to Lugano, the Italian-speaking section of Switzerland, called the Ticino. You'll have unbelievable sights where you'll actually see a crystal lake and palm trees growing in Switzerland. We'll have lunch on the square, and on the way back, I ask everybody to buy a bottle of wine, and we supply cheese and plates, and we have a party on the train going back to the hotel. Lugano and Gruyere and the northern part of Switzerland that we're going to visit are three different languages, being German, French, and Italian, all in one little country. The final spot is going to be the Black Forest, known as the Schwarzwald. Here on Lake Titisee, you'll see cuckoo clocks made, and you'll have the opportunity to purchase souvenirs, wood carvings, taste the wonderful Black Forest cake, and then we'll have a farewell dinner in a nearby village before heading back to our hotel, and the next day saying Auf Wiedersehen to Switzerland on our way back home. I'm happy to present another talc tour, one that I've taken many times and is fantastic. It's our Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park tour, which will take place in August. Now, we fly into Jackson, Wyoming, and from there, we're going to travel to the Grand Teton Lodge. Here we'll spend 2 nights, and from this wonderful hotel, you'll have your own little cabins, which are very unique, but we have dinner in the main dining room with huge picture windows looking out at the magnificent Teton Mountains. The next day, we're going to take a raft river cruise on the Snake River. Very gentle. You'll see all kinds of nature, fauna, animals, etc. And then we end in the town of Jackson, Wyoming itself. And there's the old-time saloon, the Cowboy Saloon, where you can saddle up to the bar on actual saddles and visit many of the shops. From there, we're going to continue via motor coach to Yellowstone National Park. Now, that is the original park of the park system of the United States, founded by Teddy Roosevelt when he was president. Here, we're going to stop first at the Old Faithful Inn. This historic building is really something. Made out of logs going up story after story, the grand dining room. So right next to our hotel, the Old Faithful Inn, is the Old Faithful Geyser. And here in about every 90 minutes, you can be assured for centuries that it's been doing the same thing, that it will spout into the air for about a minute and a half. It's really something to behold. And the hotel itself is terrific. Now, Yellowstone itself is on top of a geologic formation of geysers, hot springs, and of volcanoes. Here along the mud paths, you'll see boiling mud, yellow waters, blue waters, all kinds of beautiful geological adventures. Also, you'll see the largest herd of buffalo, or bison as they're known, in the world. Then we continue on to the Yellowstone Lodge, located on the lake, for another typical view of the park itself, but different. Then we continue by bus into Wyoming, and we stop at Cody. Now, Cody is the town of Buffalo Bill. Here is located the Museum of Museums. They have 3 wings. One is strictly with regard to rifles and guns, the likes of which I have never seen. They have displays going back to weapons from early times, all the way through the Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War I, World War II, so on and so forth. Situated by the companies who manufacture them and in display cases that are phenomenal. Then there's the art section where they have all types of art. And then the third section, which is devoted to Buffalo Bill Cody, Annie Oakley, the circuses that he performed in, and the rodeos, so on and so forth. You'll see a lot of the items that belong to them. Then we continue on to the most beautiful sections of the United States, and we stop at a ranch for lunch. You'll have the opportunity to ride a horse, listen to a horse whisperer, see a barn where there was a famous farmer's feud with bullet holes in the barn, and then onward to another ranch where we'll stay overnight. We make a stop at the Crazy Horse Monument, which has been under construction for many, many years. The original architect and sculptor has passed on, but his family is continuing its work. And from a distance, you can't believe the size of this monument of the chief on his horseback. Continuing on, we go to Mount Rushmore. At Mount Rushmore, you will view the magnificent sculpture of the four presidents on the mountainside. The sculptor and his son worked many, many years to create this. In the museum, you'll see all the equipment they used and how they scaled the peak, and all the men who worked on this for years to create this. It reminds me of the movie Hitchcock produced called North by Northwest. I can see Cary Grant scaling the mountaintop right now. Then we go on to Rapid City for a farewell dinner, and the next day our flight back to home. But in Rapid City, you also have the opportunity to visit a rodeo, which is included. This is truly one of the greatest tours in the United States. Now we get into the fall, and in September, another tout tour, which is brand new to us. It's called A Week in Spain. This is a fabulous tour to this ancient country of Europe. We're going to fly into Barcelona, and in Barcelona, the most incredible place that you can possibly visit is the Sagrada Familia, one of Gaudi's masterpieces. It's been in works for over 100 years, and it's near completion. It's supposed to be completed on the anniversary of his birthday. He is actually buried in the cathedral, but it's nothing like you've ever seen before, topped with fruit like pineapples and pomegranates and Christmas trees. Quite different, but inside spectacular. There's also other Gaudi apartment buildings, and the word Gaudi comes to the English language we call gaudy. You can understand when you see these structures. Then we continue on down to Malaga, the southern part of Spain, and visit the incredible Alhambra Palace. This was built by the Moors way back in the 16th century, and then taken over finally by the Spanish during their wars. This palace is incredible. You'll see the Moorish architecture, and then the cathedral, which was changed more to Catholicism later after the defeat of the Moors. You'll visit the beachfront areas. Then we'll go to Seville. Seville Cathedral is where Christopher Columbus is entombed. It is a magnificent cathedral, and the streets of Seville are incredible. They even have the old Jewish quarter where it was formed as a ghetto way back to the time of Ferdinand and Elizabeth. We continue on to various other parts of Spain, including Madrid, where you'll see the museums, and we'll take a train, high-speed train to Madrid and visit the Prado Museum, where you'll see masterpieces. Finally, ending up back in our city of Madrid for our flights back home. This is a fabulous tour. If you love history, cathedrals, palaces, gardens, etc., fine food, this is the tour for you. And again, it's a tout tour. Let's play ball. Here's our September trip that we do every year, usually in November, but we're going to do it earlier this year. It's our All-Star Baseball Cruise and Reunion. And we're going to do it this year to both New England and the Canadian Maritime provinces. Flying to the east coast of New York City, we'll board our ship, the Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas, for 9 nights. And we're going to first journey to Boston, visit the Patriot Trail and the places of interest to Old Boston, then up to Portland, Maine, have a lobster roll or enjoy some of the other scenery along the waterfront. Then to Bahava, that's how they pronounce it, just like a sheep says, Bah. And you'll see the Acadia National Park there, which has its famous Cadillac Mountain. Take a trip up there on a short excursion and look out over the Atlantic Ocean, the most eastern spot of the U.S. Then onward to the Canadian Maritime provinces of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. Halifax is a lovely city. You can journey out to Peggy's Cove, visit the lighthouse where they even have a post office where you can mail a letter. Halifax itself is a wonderful city, having many restaurants, museums, etc. along the waterway. Back during World War I, there was a famous explosion where two ships collided. One was a munition ship, and it blew up for miles. There was destruction all along the way when they call it the famous Halifax disaster. There is also a cemetery where you can see many of the graves from the people who perished on the Titanic. Prince Edward Island is a special spot. You'll see the changing of the tides, which is a phenomenon in itself, due to the tidal waves of the Bay of Fundy. So this is a fabulous trip, which includes Marty and Amanda Brenneman, Jim Maloney, Doug Flynn, Jack Billingham, Joe Oliver, and others who will be on board for our special parties that are private only to us. So is 75% of the people have done in the year, that's why we call it a reunion cruise. Join in and have a fantastic time. So don't miss the boat. The final top tour that we're going to do is brand new this year. It's called New Mexico Land of Enchantment, which will take place in October. We chose this date specially because we first arrive at Albuquerque, and it's a time of the International Balloon Fiesta. This is unbelievable. Talc has got reserved seats where you'll see thousands of balloons, hot air balloons, of all shapes and colors in the air. Now, New Mexico is one of the lands, or should say states, that I haven't visited. There's 2, North Dakota and New Mexico, and I'm really looking forward to this because it's a land of enchantment, because it's home to the native Indians from way, way back. You'll visit pueblos. We'll go down to Santa Fe where there's museums. We'll visit the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. We'll have a private cooking demonstration with a Southwest chef, which includes lunch after the demonstration. We'll continue on doing a float trip on the Rio Grande River and see the Science Museum, which was part of the Atomic Energy Commission. So much to see in this land. Perfect time of year when it's not blazing hot. And Taos is a place, if you love art, there's plenty of shops and boutiques to fill your pleasure. So plenty of time to enjoy this 8-day trip. Hope you can join me, as I'm certainly looking forward to it. So I hope you enjoyed this trip down, not memory lane, but what's going to be a memory for you if you take one of these trips. All of these trips are on our website. You can look on the screen right now and see how to find the full brochure. Go and call our group department. Tell them you want to travel with Herb. These are my trips. There's a lot of other trips that Provident produces as well, but I hope you can join me on mine. There's our email address for myself online, hreisenfeld@providenttravel.com. don't hesitate to email me or anybody in the grip department for more information. Let me tell you this, when you travel with us and you travel with myself, you'll feel safe. Over 47 years, I've taken very good care of all our people. Many have become lifelong friends, and I hope you will too. So, hope to see you on board a ship, a train, on land, a boat, or whatever. And if you run into me, say, hi, Herb.